Hello everyone, my name is Meghan LeVota and I offer wisdom, tools, and support for personality integration. Today I just want to discuss about how our shadow functions can feel like they are trespassing to our ego. So if you aren't already familiar, on my channel I talk about the 16 cognitive type patterns, and with these type patterns we have our 4 main functions that we tend to be conscious of, that our ego over-identifies with, and for our top 2 functions we completely overinflate. So for me as an ENFJ, my extroverted feeling is my dominant function, and that is the feeling that I completely overinflate. Whereas then my second function, introverted intuition, I also overinflate but not to the same extent. And then we have SE and TI, which are also functions that are my ego identifies with, but they are weaker functions. So some say that they're in the shadow, but I personally think that these are functions that we are aware of, just we don't overinflate them. We aren't nearly as strong in our usage of them. And then the other 4 out of the 8 functions that we don't value, we tend to be not conscious of these functions. These are what I would call the shadow functions. So if you're new to cognitive functions, I'm going to link this playlist where I talked about each of the cognitive functions, so you could brush up on that. But just getting into this video is that I want everyone to realize that our shadow functions, when we feel them, which we can feel them, they feel like trespassers. They feel like, I almost have wanted to say they feel like intrusive thoughts at times. They feel like they don't belong to us. And I believe that that's what the shadow feels like. And not only is it within ourselves, but also when we see other people exemplifying those traits, they feel like they are trespassing on us. So for example, if you are a introverted thinking type and you were to see somebody else exemplify introverted feeling, then it would feel to you as though they are completely against you, even if they're not. So for example, if somebody has just an FI preference for something and they don't apologize for it, they just say, I don't want to go to that, or I don't want to do that, then TI can feel as though FI is calling it stupid. It's like, what is this? What is this thing? Like, what are you doing? I can't figure it out. Because TI cannot figure out FI. Because for FI there's nothing to figure out. It's not logical. It's not how it works. It's not it's not focused on these inconsistencies and trying to piece them together. So, and then for FI, for example, if they notice any TI in themselves or any TI in others, it could feel like, oh my god, you're judging me. Like, why are you judging me? Why am I not worth it? What are you trying to say about me? I cannot figure it out. And so FI also can't figure it out, because what FI doesn't understand about TI is that TI is not personal. So you shouldn't take it personal. TI is truly not personal in that way. So there's just one example of how these functions can disconnect, but for FI and TI, because it's an introverted function, it creates like this sort of internal tension between the types, or between that. You also could be an FI user and feel judgment come up and you want to shove it away. If you are a strong FI user, if you sense any sort of judgment or discernment about anyone, you might think, I'm being mean. That's not what I think. I'm shoving that away because I don't think that way. I'm a good person. I'm not a bad person. I don't have any sort of judgments on anyone, so no, I'm not even going to think about that. So that's how FI can be so strong to the point where any ounce of TI feels like it's trespassing. It feels like it does not belong, because the way that these 2 functions can chemically react is challenging. You have to use the transcendent function, which I'm so embarrassed right now, which Jung talks about, Jung talks about the transcendent function as a way of mediating the opposites. And it is a function that's outside of the cognitive functions that you can use to sort of mediate the thinking and the feeling. And if you aren't looking at it from a transcendent sort of view, it causes conflict. But luckily, that conflict is there to help us grow and thrive and bring us down the path of the individuation process and help us become even more of who we are and even more whole and even more integrated. So, but if you aren't using the transcendent function, then FI and TI together is just not pretty. It is, you know, intense criticism and noticing all these inconsistencies and every flaw and everything that's wrong. And then there's the FI there that's taking it all personally and is just feeling it all and is feeling worthless and broken and defeated and all that. And so, for example, if you're a TI user and you're focusing on all these flaws, and then something comes in where you feel worthless and broken and defeated, you're gonna think, that's not me. That's not how I feel at all. I am not taking it personally. I am rational. I am not thinking about that I'm broken at all. I'm not broken at all. That is just me being silly. I just need to take a nap. I just need to calm down. Like, that's not me at all. TI is gonna just completely shove that down. Whereas FI, it's like if there's any sort of judgment of, oh, you're late on this, or oh, you suck at this, you're either going to accept that as true and think, oh my god, I'm broken, I'm worthless, I'm nothing, or you're going to accept it as not true and you're going to say, you're just being mean, you're just against me, I don't want anyone who's against me. So that's how FI completely shoves away TI, is that they won't want to take criticism and they want to get rid of the people that are not for them. And it could feel just very not great. Where, yeah, and then so let's talk about FE and TE a little bit. Is that FE wants to talk things out emotionally. FE wants to get on the same page and it wants to express all of those emotions. Where to TE, it's like, that is gonna take too long, that is not effective, that is messy. And then whereas FE, if they sense any TE from anyone else, it feels like that doesn't belong to me, that doesn't fit me. If you have some sort of plan that is laid out in a very black and white, easy to follow way, FE is going to feel so constrained by that because there's not enough emotional movement. There's, oh, but what if I have to express this? Or it just feels so constrained. Whereas for TE, if it's told that, oh, you have to sit down and be vulnerable and talk about your emotions, or else you know, don't deserve, like, or else you won't have relationships that work and you'll live a loveless life because you aren't putting in the work. TE is going to be like, well, that's just irrational. That is taking way too long. I don't need to do that. I don't need to sit down and talk about my feelings every single day just to keep a loved one around. I can love them from afar. I don't need to put in all that emotional energy. Like, what's the point of that? What even is that going to yield for me? That's just going to keep me trapped and dependent on someone when I don't need to be, because the fruit of that labor isn't enough. Whereas FE would just be like, well, you aren't putting in the work, therefore you don't deserve this relationship, because relationships deserve work and investment and emotional intimacy, and you need to get on that same page, or else you can't expect anyone to be there for you and love you and all of that. So here's just, I just sort of was giving some examples. I could talk about the perceiving functions too in another video if you guys would be curious, but what I really want to get across is just the idea that it doesn't feel like us. It feels like trespassing, but they will come up. Your shadow functions will come up from other people and from ourselves. Like, I know for me as an ENFJ, I have experienced a lot of shadow FI coming up, and that makes it almost impossible for me to listen to my own TI, and it's just like I feel the FI and TI battling. And even like, I will say something about SI, my shadow introverted sensing, I can feel that come up as well, where it's like my body is tired and it's like I'm trying to get myself to wake up early because I know in my NI that that is what is going to lead to a more productive day. But my SI could just be like, no, like fuck this, I am not wanting to move, because it's like finally my body is crapping out on me for not focusing on it and not keeping it you know, comfortable. Yeah, and I mean, it feels weird when it comes up. It feels really weird. And so maybe you could think about, if you're not sure what type you are, think about what functions and what feelings that come up feel like they don't belong to me and which ones feel like they do. Because I relate to a lot of the FI descriptions at times because I relate to being in that place. But every time I do feel FI, it still feels like something that's not me, and it could feel like I'm at war within myself. And it's like what I want to get rid of. So obviously, like, it is possible to notice these conflicts and to release resistance within yourself. And if you're interested in that, then you should join my membership group called Personality Typology for Self-Growth, the membership group, and it's $33 a month, and I am talking about exactly how to do just that. And I'm doing an extra video, or I'm doing 4 extra videos a month in that group, and a workshop once a month. And this Saturday, May 16th, I'm doing a video about, or I'm doing a workshop about your auxiliary function and how to integrate that. So you can either join below, or if you're watching this later, you could get the video after the fact. But really what that group is all about, and what I really am wanting to put so much more of my energy into, is actually helping people release the resistance within these inner conflicts. And it's hard to do that in a YouTube video like this, because I don't know how, like, when I'm talking to you guys, I don't know how much you already know about this stuff. I don't know how much you've looked up, and it's very hard to make a video that is interesting to a beginner and someone who's advanced. And it's like, I want to help people become interested in this stuff, but really this group is dedicated for getting past all of the disclaimers and just diving into helping people release resistance within their own functions. And how can you integrate your shadow as well and make it not feel like this trespasser that's out to get you? How can you reason with your shadow? So thank you guys so much for watching this video. As always, if you have any other suggestions for videos I could talk about, or if you have any questions about this membership group, feel free to reach out at hello@meghanlevota.com. I also offer typing services, and you also can reach out about one-on-one calls. I'm sort of getting a lot of things moving and changing right now, so but yeah, thank you so much for watching this video, and have a wonderful rest of your day.